hear the cars zooming by? It's after midnight in Paris, and we're standing over the Ulma tunnel. This is the tunnel where that fatal crash occurred, the 13th pillar, at about 12:25 a.m. on August 31st, 1997. That Mercedes-Benz, driven by Henri Paul, came rushing through this tunnel. They were headed back to Dodi Fayed's apartment, where Dodi intended, according to his butler, to present Princess Diana with an engagement ring when they had their accident. Fortunately, at the same time, or shortly after the accident occurred, an emergency room doctor happened to be going through the tunnel. He stopped. He tried to provide care. He went up to the car. He assessed the situation. He recognized that two were dead on the scene, Henri Paul and Dodi Fayed. He noticed that Trevor Rees-Jones, who's in the passenger front seat, he was alive. He noticed a woman in the back seat. She was alive. He didn't know who she was. In fact, he didn't learn her identity until the next day. He called for help. Ambulance, police, everybody convenes on the scene. 8 photographers arrested on the scene in the tunnel. But what exactly happened in the tunnel? Well, that's the mystery. It depends on who you talk to. There are two schools of thought. The French inquiry says it's alcohol, speed, paparazzi. Mohammed Al-Fayed, he says something much more sinister happened in this tunnel.
10 years ago, I was invited in a birthday party in the west suburb of Paris. And since I had to work the next morning, I decided to leave the party quite early, around midnight. I drove with my friend Mark. I drove back home, and I drove close to the river. It was a fabulous night. It was summertime. I remember I saw the Eiffel Tower, and I thought it's fabulous to live in Paris.
Dr. Maillet had no idea the night was about to take a turn for the worst, and his life was about to change.
When I get closer and closer to the Tunnel de l'Alma, I saw some smoke inside the tunnel. And little by little, I discovered that there was a black car on the other side. And obviously, there was an accident, and the accident just happened.
Now, you went right through the tunnel? Were you going through the tunnel as well?
I had to drive through the tunnel.
All right, now we're standing over the tunnel right now. Which direction were you going?
So the west suburb is on that part.
So you were coming this way?
I was coming from that way.
And the accident, the car from the accident was coming this way?
They were coming from the center of Paris, and they drove that way.
So when you got out of your car, were you one of the first to the car, or were there people standing around the car that had been involved in the accident?
I was the first who stopped a car, and I was the first one who walked toward the wreckage.
Right. So you walk up to the car, what did you see?
So I see a black Mercedes, huge car, some smoke around the engine, the horn was still going on. So obviously the accident just happened like 30 seconds before. I opened the door of the car.
Which door did you open?
I opened the right rear door.
Which is where the princess, which you probably didn't know at the time, but where Princess Diana was seated?
Exactly.
When you opened the door, you obviously saw a woman sitting there, or she was on the floor, I think, at that point?
That's correct.
Did you recognize her?
I didn't recognize this lady. So I see 4 victims, 2 are apparently dead. The driver, I almost cannot see him because he's underneath the wheel, he's underneath the engine. I cannot see him. The back left passenger is dead.
Obviously dead?
He's obviously dead. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't react, he doesn't show any reaction.
You tested him, or I mean?
I test him, and he doesn't suffering, he doesn't react, he doesn't move. So all that is in very short seconds, so I have to be very quick. But to my assessment, he's dead.
And that would be Dodi Fayed, the other.
That was
Dodi
Mr. Fayed, yes.